morning. So, I had something brought to my attention last night, and the title of this video, Unreal Expectations. I didn't realise that maybe I had them. I'll give you an example. I was out walking last night with my daughter's mother. Now, we've been separated now for 22, 23 years, but we're good mates. So, you know, we're going walking. We do lots of things as a family together. We were mates before we got together, and we're now mates. There was a time when it was a bit difficult, but it would be, and he broke up. But anyway, so I was out walking around with her last night, and I said, do you know what? I said, I'd like to get back to something like I was when I was 18. She went, really? She said, well, that's fucking impossible. Not in those words. And I was like, well, what do you mean? She said, well, unless you want to, like, shrink in height by a foot and by width by a foot, she said, you ain't got a chance. It's just completely unrealistic. And I'm going to put some pictures up here to explain what she meant, but in my mind, because I see outwards, I don't see me. I don't know if any of you else are like this, that I remember having nearly a six-pack. I'll show you pictures anyway. But from these pictures, you can also see that I weighed the same as a crisp packet, right? When I was young, I was very underdeveloped, all right? So much so that as a kid growing up, my parents thought they were going to give me some tablets. Well, the doctor wanted to give me some tablets to make me grow. My dad said, no, I was the same, he'll be fine. Here we are, right? So he was right. But at the age of 16, which I think there's a picture of me when I'm 17 with Denise, that's Caitlin's mother, right? And you can see she's taller than me, right? By a bit. I mean, she used to be able to, at certain times, put her nose on my, I think it was on my head. So she was that much taller. So much so, it was quite embarrassing for her because we look quite similar well, basically, we were walking hand in hand once and somebody said, well, you're walking hands with your brother. And she told him, fuck off, whatever. Obviously, we aren't related in no way. And I met her through a friend. I digress. Anyway, I wanted to get back to that kind of level, and it ain't never gonna happen, right? That ain't working either. Oh, that's beautiful face. And I want to get fit, but I am never ever gonna get to that level, and if I did, I would look like I had something very badly wrong with me, and the chances of me ever getting a six-pack, it's never gonna happen, right? Because the percentage of fat that you have to achieve a six-pack is not a happy sense of fat. If you ask any of the realistic gym bunnies, right, they'll tell you they have to shred to get back to that most of the time, and they're not happy, all right? You ask any weightlifter when he's at his weakest, and he'll say it's just before he goes on stage to do his thing, whatever they call that, right? Because they're short on water, they're short on this, short on that, and they're not physically strong at that point. They're as weak as a kidney. And having a bit of fat on you is not a problem. And another thing, right? I've had women say, you're fine as you are. Are they being kind? Right? My ex-missus is saying I'm fine as I am. I go out for a walk with another friend and she says I'm fine as I am. The woman at that petrol station, well, not that one, but the other one that does it, she says I'm fine as I am. But I'm not happy. But should I be happy if they're happy? This is the question. And my answer to that would be no. You got to be happy in yourself. But let's not be unrealistic, all right? What exactly are you expecting out of your health trip, if you want? How skinny or how much fat reduction do you want, and why? Why is the key thing? Are you trying to impress others, or is it for yourself? Now, if you're doing stuff for yourself, right, make sure you're not misguided. I mean, none of us are, some of you watching this may well be nutrition experts, but generally on the whole, most of us are pretty bad at it. Hence the reason we've got to this state. You know, all of those offers that you see in places like Asda, Tesco's, Co-op, whatever, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but all of them, all of the shit that's bad for you, they've made a meal deal out of, right? And it's cheaper. But if you want to go healthy, And I mean, that's a lottery as well. I went and picked up something earlier, a minute ago, right? And I went, oh, berries, because apparently my antioxidant level's low. I think most people are. So a bit more steamed veg and all the rest of it. But I picked this thing up and I went, berries. I think blueberries. Thought, that's got to be good for you. Turn the plant around, sweetened, right? And this and that. And I was like, oh, put it back. What's the point? So, you've probably, well, by now I would have edited and you'd have seen the pictures of me. There is no way, even with a fairy godmother and a genie, am I ever going to get back to that? And moreover, and you have to put in the comments here, women, I'm not looking for compliments, I'm looking for realism here, right? Would you want a bloke that skinny, or would you rather a bloke with a bit of timber on him? Now, what I actually want to achieve is being able to jump about a bit more sprightly, all right? Being able to go for a ride on a bike and my lungs not collapsing, that kind of stuff. Now the walking thing, I'm doing really well at that. Now, Caitlin's mother did a lot of walking. She did one walk, by the way, and she couldn't find a way onto the strawberry line, so she ended up going this way, that way, which ended up diverting through a few pubs. She doesn't usually drink. Anyway, she did, and she was telling me all about it. What a load of carnage that was. However, she was struggling and I wasn't, all right? I'm proud of myself for this. I was going up hills and it was fine. I wasn't blowing and I was enjoying it. So, and when you're on the dating apps, if you go on the dating apps, a lot of these people apparently now like walking, so that could be good. But I haven't got the energy for that. Not the energy for walking, it's the dating part of like, phobia. But anyway, so the point of this video is, are you looking at people on TV and thinking, I want to look like that? Because the amount of misery that you've got to go through, the discipline, the fuck that. Just fuck off. And I'll be honest, if you get yourself into that super fit stage, are you going to make what other potential partner that you decide that you want to be with feel insecure because they're not as fit as you? Because I don't know about you lads, I do like a bird with curves. A few, you know, and I don't give a fuck if she's got some weight on her, right? You do you and I'll do me. I've never really been out with what I would say is a skinny mini. Never done it, right? You know, I've always been out with women with fairly large boobs and good hips. And cellulite is the least thing that bothers me. Oh, fucking talk. When we were on holiday, I saw all these women in bikinis that were big girls, and I went, fucking fair play to you. You know what I mean? You do you, I'll do me. Like, some of them I thought to myself, you probably could do with getting a bit healthier for your health, not for the optics. Give a shit about that. But there it is. Let me know what you think, all right? In the comments. I do read the comments, all right? And I have to say that I'm enjoying this Man Up channel more than I did the Reverend Simon Sideways one, because I'm not dishing out bad news. I like the people who subscribe to me on Reverend Simon Sideways, right? But this is, I think, a more constructive channel, because we've got enough bad news in our lives, haven't we, right? So what it would be better is if we could talk, if we could have a laugh, if we could learn off each other, and also get out. I was looking into how the brain rewires itself after X amount of time, and it's doing that. And a lot of the things that they said would happen to me are happening to me, and the pleasures that you can derive from things that didn't give you any pleasure before, simply because it was the way your brain was wired at that time, and the amount of difference that I'm told by Caitlin's mother, Caitlin, and even my dad. My dad said to me for the first time ever the other day that he was proud of me. That was quite a moment, I have to say. And it makes you realise just how much of, how do I put this, the person you would have been that would be better for others that you took away from them and yourself. And you can't ever get that back. So you've not got to stay like that, but you're just seeing the person you are now, the way you respond to stuff, the way you think. There's just too much to explain in this, and I'm going to have to write it down because there is so much of it. It's more than a 45-minute video of all the pros. I cannot tell you. But the one thing I did notice, and I did say to Dennis yesterday, you can't see it when you're in it. And if somebody tries to tell you, you just wouldn't get it or believe it. So it almost feels like it's futile to try to explain to somebody who's in that at the moment, like drinking on the permanent, and it made that their lifestyle, just how much you could gain by stopping, because drink makes you believe that it's the only thing you need. You don't need relationships. Well, no. If it's a choice between give up the drink, give up the relationship, many people give up the relationship. It makes you think that you don't need holidays, you just need a good night out. You need, it just tells you that all you need is it. I can't explain any more than that, right? And when you eventually get away from it, and by the way, all that craving shit, that's all gone, that's long gone, right? So, some of you may have bipolar, some of you may have what they call ADHD, some of you may have, what's the other one they call it? Addictive personalities, I think it is, which I may well have myself, I don't know. But, you lot may drink because, not for the physical addiction so much. You may like the way it makes you feel when you're out with others, or whatever. And so for giving up for you isn't the physical thing, it's more of a psychological thing. But there it is. I will crack on now. I should imagine that the voice, the quality of this is a bit shit because I'm in the lorry, but I don't know what mic I could get that would work in conjunction with this, so sorry about that, you just have to bear with. Anyway, we did a live stream the other day, I believe that went well. We'll do more, but I'm thinking, I know somebody, and he may well be watching this, he might not, Steve Mitchell, went to school with him. He was always the good-looking bastard at school. Didn't make himself out to be the good-looking bastard, I might like to say. He was always nice to everybody. Hard fucker, but nice to people, right? You know, he treated people as he found them. Talented musician. Written a few books. I believe he went dry 10 years ago. And he actually thinks that life begins at 50. So I'm thinking about getting him on a podcast, right? That's if he wants to. And start interviewing people that have done it, and they have been done for years, right? And how their life has changed, because I'm at the beginning, right? So you might want to hear from them. Maybe even he can answer some questions to some of you who have questions. Who knows? But I'll put it to him and see what he thinks. Anyway, I'll see you in a bit.